No, no, I'm using his. So we're good. We're good.
For his clock also?
No, clock you set it up. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah, just give it.
It's okay if it's horizontal? Just a regular analog watch, so it's good to see. You don't
Because
even
otherwise you have to see it. I realize that.
Several times as
I know.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah. You want to turn it on now or what time we should start? It's on 9 o'clock. If she says we'll start. Yeah, we can start. Let's get started. If you can make the announcement about the satsang.
Questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Swamiji will do satsang in the second part, towards the end of the session.
Questions?
So if you want to write down your questions and give it to Swamiji in the break, that'd be good. Thank you.
Chief is, I think, here. Piece of paper is here to write down. Om Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyan Nijantargatam पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भो दूतैः यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ the cause of the fear. the cause revealed by the Shastra. Any kind of fear, fear of being rejected, fear of being isolated, fear of being nobody, fear of loneliness, huge. It's a big issue now in society. Solving the problem, the cause, all the fears go away at a stretch. This is called moksha. Moksha means mujidatu is to be free. The noun has been made moksha, means freedom. Freedom from fear forever. Moksha generally is a word which is very allergic. That's how people are allergic to Babas. Especially youngsters, they keep away. Because they know these Babas will come and they talk about this moksha. And they feel moksha is something very, alaukika, some kind of an exalted experience. And in his intellect, he is not able to accept. If you talk about something which is of this world, which you experience, then you are called rational person, right? These Babas, please understand this moksha, many people don't understand what is that. It's not experience. Even many Vedantins have this issue. Not understanding the goal of life, for which they have already invested time, energy, everything. Freedom from fear while living. There is a fear not centered on anything else. This has fear, no. That has fear, no. I don't bother. Even if someone else, a sentient being has a fear, if someone has fear, I can help. But the issue is, I have a fear. That's the issue. Is I really a subject to fear? on inquiry goes away. One discovers the fearlessness centered on I. That's called moksha. So we have to discover through the teaching, Vedantic teaching, that which gives us a total freedom from fear. In Vedas, there is a clear statement giving the cause of the fear, and that is Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. Vai, indeed. Dvitiyat. Dvitiyam means there is another thing other than you. If you have this thing in your mind that there is something other than me, then that thing has a potential to make you fearful. So, Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. Indeed, because of this duality, there is a fear. And teaching reveals that there is no room for fear. The reality is this, that there is no room for fear. It's a teaching. Teaching is an oral teaching. Oral teaching means a teacher and a student, and teacher sees the student and talks. Then teacher is seeing the student other than himself. Then there is a duality. Seeing the duality, teacher says there is no duality. These Vedantis are pagal people. Yeah. Seeing the student, naturally, when teacher opens mouth, he's not talking to the space, he's seeing a student. At least two. 1 and 2. The duality is the cause of fear. There is no duality, that's a teaching. The teacher talks to student. The student is not ordinary student. Student stands up and tells to the teacher, thank you. Thank you. I have become fearless. Student talks to the teacher. Another thing. What is this, Swami? Yeah, we should understand. We should understand. Looks two, yet there is no two. That's the thing. That's the thing. Anyway, so let's analyze this. Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. So when I say I am afraid, let us better understand how duality creates a fear. When you say I am afraid, fear means I am afraid. This sentence is not complete. I am afraid. I am afraid. I am afraid. You will immediately ask, of what? Or second thing, of what? Well, I am afraid of my father. Or I am afraid of my husband. I am afraid of my future. I am afraid of rejection. I am afraid of being a lonely person. So it's very clear that you are afraid of an event that may take place in the future. You are afraid of a thing, that you consider as an obstacle, basically, to your goal, to your well-being. So whenever you are afraid of, it's always in terms of another factor. And so fear always comes, please understand every word, fear can come only from the another thing. That another thing, must be equally as real as you are. Another thing will not give fear. Another thing equally as real as you are. I will give you an example. If you see your shadow, you will not be afraid. If you see a shadow of yourself, you will not be afraid. If you see a shadow which you think that it is not my shadow, you may be afraid. If you see your own shadow, which is even though your own shadow, even though it experientially it is another, that's a shadow, this is you, but not equally real, and you are not afraid. So experientially another thing, definitely. You will not say you are lying on the road, shadow is on the road, suppose. That's a shadow, that is me, experientially too. But if you are sure it is my own shadow, you don't take it as another thing. Then you are not afraid. But somehow, sometimes happens. We see a shadow, we feel this is not my shadow, somebody else is there. You will be afraid. Okay. So the shadow does not enjoy the same degree of reality. Even though your own shadow experientially, another thing you say also, you show it also like that. Right? This shadow, you are here. This shadow, I and this too. Well, if you look at yourself in a concave convex mirror, in Ahmedabad we have a mirror house. Very amazing. You stand, it's a circular, a building. And they have put various types of mirrors. Concave, convex, in that also sometimes concave, convex like that. Various mirrors they keep. You are standing on the center. And you see yourself. And you see yourself very ugly. Very ugly. Face sometimes long. And pot belly. And legs short. Or legs long. And this whole part is this much. Seeing you become ugly, you should be afraid. Very possibility of that I am going to be ugly by getting one white hair on my head. This happened to Miss Universe. Really? Few years ago when there is a series, 2-3 years, the Indian woman used to be Miss Universe. It happened in 90s, I think. That woman, one day she got up and went to bathroom and she saw in the mirror. She was afraid. She was treated. She was sent to psychologist. Now you are seeing so ugly. My God. Seeing yourself ugly, still instead of a fear, you have amusement. Why you? Yeah. Why? Why? Naturally, that's reflection. This is you too. There are two. You cannot say, no, Swami, there is only one. No. That is reflection. That's the second thing. But the second thing definitely, does not enjoy the same degree of reality of the person, the actual person. That is how mirror house is a laughing club. Everybody enters into that and everybody sees. And everybody laughs. no one has a fear. Mirror house is not a place of getting fear. It's a place of amusement. Please understand what I want to convey, what Vedanta has to convey. People, of course, have a very standard question. So, I mean, this is by giving one example, you teachers come here, give one example and, run away. And the reality is something which we cannot assimilate. Reality is reality. It takes time to assimilate. Because the error which is committed is from beginningless time. And do you think that it will be solved in one day? Janmas after janmas, one has spent the lives, one's own life in error. It has become your almost a second nature. The habit is so strong. Any habit which is well rooted takes time to go. You have to form a habit, new habit. Habit goes by habit. One day is not a habit. Habit means every day. The vision which I gave you yesterday must have raised a lot of questions and lot of things in mind. All that is Ishvara, all that is Ishvara. Swamiji, as we got up and went out of the room, everything has vanished. Like the water which is on that tawa, hot tawa. The vision is given. You have to form a habit to assimilate it. Anyway, so basically, in seeing myself in a mirror, I plus my own mirror image is not 2. I plus my several mirror images are not too many. This is Vedanta's arithmetic. 1 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus many, still 1. Somebody offers me a cup of tea. When I visit Mirror House, suppose, how many cups of tea? Oh, several Swamis are there. 1 plus 12 my mirror images. Still, I get only 1 cup, not 13 cups will come. This is Vedanta's arithmetic. This is an equation which is not to be believed, it is to be understood. This is not a belief. Exactly like E is equal to MC square. Any equation is to be understood. The identity between two is understood. Anyway. So when you say 1 plus 1, the plus 1 must enjoy the same degree of reality as the one has. If the other one is not as real as the one is, then 1 plus many is still 1. You can always be afraid of that has the same degree of reality as you have. So, if the other valve does not enjoy the same degree of reality, there is no reason for fear, there is reason for amusement. So Vedanta says there is only reason for amusement. World, how many things? Billions of things. Billions. Right? Yet Vedanta says one. Only one is also not. Any one thing is not one, really. One body is not one body, my God. One body means how many cells? One body means how many limbs? My God. Any one thing is not one. But Vedanta says there is one without second. That's the thing. One without second. Means whatever is only one. Even though there are many we count experientially, it is like counting the mirror images along with one. One plus many, still one. Anyway, so even though one stands in front of the mirror, still one doesn't count the reflected images of oneself as another. Okay, how will you prove it now in our case? Vedanta says nothing to worry. No special experience of seeing non-dual, one thing. In any experience, at least two things are there. One, the experiencer, other, the object of experience. Therefore, what we talk about a reality is not an object of experience. We have to drop this thing from in contemplation. It is to be understood as a one. It is not to be experienced as a one. You cannot remove. As you open the eyes, you will see many. Sounds are many, forms are many, objects of tastes are many, objects of smells are many. Many, you cannot. It's a reality. But that is the reality. If one says one is not able to appreciate the one thing which really pervades everything, and that is the reality, that we don't understand. Therefore, we take this many as a reality. Many as a reality means duality as a reality, and the fear, source of fear will always remain, and that's how one is not able to get rid of the fear, even though we try a lot. Somehow, we are not able to remove. Even with all the money also, with your all health also, eating all kinds of things and doing exercises and whatnot, the fear of old age remains, the fear of death remains. The cause is this. We'll see that today. So let us take an example here, and Vedanta analyzes our own experiences and arrive at this truth. Let us first take an example of a dream. It's an experience. So when you dream, the dream world is your own imagination. You have projected out of, your own memories, a world of yourself. And you need not be afraid of that, because it's your own projection. You need not be afraid, naturally. So when you have created a dream, the man suppose we have created in a dream, it's nothing but my own thought. So the time, the distance, the flesh, the bones, the weight, the color, the features, attitude of that person is nothing but your own thought in a dream. However, so you need not afraid, because it's your own projection. However, you can be afraid of that other person in the dream if you take the person to be as real as the dreamer, as yourself. So, here in the waking world, of course, we are afraid, but at least in dream we should not be afraid, because it's my own projection. But still, in dream we are afraid. We are afraid of that thing. So that fear in the dream is from the lack of understanding that one, suppose the person is chasing you, you sometimes see the person is chasing you. He has something, a gun in the hand or something. So the person who is chasing you is basically, you have a lack of understanding that the person who is chasing is, well, nothing but me. That understanding is not there. So one who wants to run away, myself, from that other person, well, is the one who doesn't recognize the fact that there is no other being other than me. The one who is chasing me is me. If you know that, no fear. But that you know only when you wake up, not in a dream. Not in a dream. Therefore you have fear. Even though, really speaking, one who was chasing you is you. Still not knowing the fact, thinking that he's another person. He's the one, I am the object of chasing and he is the one who is chasing me. Please understand this. Somehow, because of ignorance, because of lack of understanding, it happens that, and you are afraid. So, someone equal to me, well, is in the dead dream. The other person in the dream, well, is someone equal to me, is a reason for fear. So now, I will prove I'm right. I'm giving you one co-presence. We use this technique in Vedanta, which is really a very beautiful thing, to prove something logically. Is this? There is something called co-presence. We call it anvaya. And other is co-absence. We call it vyatireka. So at least now from this much what I have discussed from the examples, etc., I could say this much. When there is a duality, there is fear. This much I can say. When there is a duality, it may be so that there is really not a duality. Dream example I have given you. The one who is chasing and the one who is object of chasing is one alone. Still, if you don't understand this fact, if you don't know this fact, there is a fear. So, dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. Yet wherever there is a duality, there is fear. Also we have to prove, when there is no duality, there is no fear. This much chalega nahi. Called vyatireka. And that also should be experience of everyone. If I say, well, I don't have any duality, therefore I am not fearful, you may say this Swami is, trying to. It should be your own experience. Yeah, another experience. That's what I say. Vedanta is simply analyzing your own experiences and arrive at the truth. No special experience we talk about. We don't deny special experiences. We don't talk about special experiences. Anywhere in Vedanta, any text, please show me where special experiences has been talked about. Please show me. Which is connected to moksha. No. Gaining moksha, gaining freedom, well, what is required is a proper analysis of your own experiences. And it is so when there is no duality, there is no fear, vyatireka, co-absence. So, well, and that is there. In sleep, well, there is an absence of fear. Fortunately, I have experience of absence of a duality in a deep sleep state, and I don't have fear also. There is absence of isolation and fear in deep sleep. When I am totally asleep, well, there is no duality whatsoever. You are not an isolated individual in a deep sleep state. unlike in a waking state. And you are not an isolated individual, separate from every other individual in a deep sleep state. And therefore I die to my individuality, so there is no individual to relate to be isolated from, to be rejected from, to be separated from, which can cause fear. Right? And so another factor is not there. You have experience every day when you are there, of course, but another factor is not there. And there is no fear. Yeah. So, in deep sleep there is no fear. Fear is a common word, by the way. A citizen of the country is afraid that he can lose a job. A president of the country is afraid that he may lose an election. Or a wealthy person, a rich person of the country, is afraid of that losing money in stocks. So, we, all the three people, but we don't have a presidential fear. We don't have a rich person fear. Means fear is common. Fear, of course, is there in all the three people, but fear is common. Presidential fear is different from this fear. No. Fear is common. The very fear emotion is very common. Anyway, though there is no difference in fear, of course, in these three. So, in deep sleep state, of course, all walls of division and differences come down, and there is no fear at all. Only that's how our day begins with the conflict. You know, day begins with the conflict. There is a natural love to sleep and natural reluctance to come out of this sleep. So, definitely, should I get up now or little later? That kind of a conflict is there. Because once you get up, the sense of individuality comes and the duality starts. When you have a sense of individuality, there is always another factor. There is always another. If you lose sense of individuality, there is no another thing. And this is your own experience. So anyway, so deep sleep state is a very inviting experience. Very inviting experience. No fear of duality in sleep. Nothing other than yourself. You die completely to where you are and what you are. So while describing about the sleep, Chandogya Upanishad very beautifully said, Andassan anandaha bhavati, viddhassan aviddaha bhavati, upatapi san anupatapi bhavati. The blind is no longer blind in deep sleep state. Wounded is no longer wounded in deep sleep state. The unhealthy is no longer unhealthy in deep sleep state. The person with a 20 by 20 vision and the person who is blind are same in deep sleep state. Right? They are saying the healthy and the unhealthy are same in deep sleep state. Anyway, so in sleep there is an experience of absence of duality. So the problem of fear is solved when you sleep. You don't have any fear. Therefore, the second part also I have proved. When there is no duality, there is no fear. First is, where there is duality, there is fear. Example, dream state. Analysis of the dream state, not just dream state. Analysis of dream state proved that when there is duality, there is fear. example of analysis of the deep sleep state proved that when there is absence of a duality, there is no fear. No fear. So fear is always born of another that is as good as myself. We have to analyze this as good as myself. There are two things in that also, but we'll do that. So from sleep state, you either dream or you wake up and fear comes along. With that fear, well, when I say fear, you don't think that person sweats and head trembles and no. The ramification of the fear is fear of rejection, fear of being wanted, fear of being not wanted. Not being wanted is fine. Fear of being not wanted. Human life, the later part, old age, that's the fear. Fear of being not wanted. Nobody wants to talk. You are there to talk. Hold your biography. You are very ready. Wants to talk to your grandchildren. But grandchildren doesn't have any interest in the past. Grandparents have only past, now no future. Grandchildren have no past, they have only future. Therefore, they are not interested. Our children don't listen. Seeing a grandparent sitting here, the fellow will not enter here. He will go from somewhere. Even in the home, they catch hold and starts. In our time, over half an hour gone. Old people do not have any future. What future? They have to talk only past. Sometimes we lose our dignity by our own behavior. We should know how to maintain dignity. We need not be asking for the respect, etc. Asking for the respect is losing the dignity. We should know this. Commanding the respect is maintaining. More you ask for the respect, more you lose the dignity. You should not ask. You should behave in such a way that they will come to you. They will respect you. That's called maturity. Age is not maturity. And this is, by the way, we are discussing something else. But anyway, so from the sleep state, you either go to dream or wake up and fear comes along. And fear means this fear of being rejected, fear of being not wanted, fear of loneliness, fear of getting old. Some of you are saying more, but how will you remove it? Let you give me some time. All at a knock. All fear removed simultaneously. If you understand the thing and you assimilate it, that's a condition. So fear of putting oneself into some unknown situation. So fear is always there in one form or other. So in order, to be not wanted or getting rejected or feeling isolated, there should be someone else with an equal degree of reality to reject me. Without something that is equally as real as I am, there is no, chance of fear. Okay, now the problem is whether there is another thing or not. That's a big discussion. So whether there is a other thing which is there or not. Anything exists, please understand. Anything exists because I know it. I am conscious of it. The sun exists because I know it. The moon exists because I know it. The sun is bright and hot because I know it. Moon is cool because I know it. There are stars in the sky because I know it. There is a blue sky, well, because I know it. There are particles and subatomic particles because I know it. May not be with your eyes. You may add some scopes. You add scopes, microscope, this scope, that scope. Anyway, there are cells in our body that make up the body. Well, because I know it. Right? So there are microbes because I know it. Anything that you talk about exists because you know it. So at least you think you know it. Okay? Something is there, but I don't know perfectly. Okay. That's okay. But it exists. At least you think that you know it. So, anything in this world exists because you know it. How? Oh, sorry, I use the means of knowledge available to me. Anything to know, you need means of knowledge. I see this because I use my eyes. I say flask is. Flask is. How do you say? Oh, Swamiji, I know it. How do you know it? I'm using my eyes. Anything in this world, please. Anything in this world is because you know it through means of knowledge. Now come here, the second factor. I exist, right? Anything exists because you know it through means of knowledge. I exist because I know it. Fine. Which means of knowledge? I exist because I know it. Okay, which means of knowledge? Oh, sorry. I see my body, therefore I exist. Means if you close the eyes, you don't exist. This is typical. When you hear some sound, right? Or when you hear your own body, let's say, I exist, yeah. When you don't hear a sound, you don't exist. If you don't hear the sound of your body, you don't exist. Very big thing. Very, very big thing. Don't say very big thing, very big thing. We know. Okay. So what in this world, whatever the things you know, they exist because you use means of knowledge. I know I also exist. Which means of knowledge? Eyes, ears. You see I. You see I. Do you hear I? Do you touch I? Do you smell I? I has a smell. Could you follow what I am saying? If you say, Swamiji, I has a smell. Yeah, what smell? Rose smell? So you see I and therefore I is. You hear I and therefore I is. Very big thing. You exist. Do you think you use your sense organs to prove the existence of I or not? Please let me know. So perception and improved perception through the machines, scopes, is to prove the existence of the world, not I. Anyway, so basically I is not perceptible, right? I is not perceptible, which can prove the existence of I. I is not to be believed. You can't say I believe I exist. That's it. I can't perceive I can't believe I. Belief is not a system to know. Perception is a system to know, means to know, but that also is not, that is not required to know I or to prove the existence of I. So, you can't speculate I, you can't infer I, and well, therefore, how do you know you exist? You don't have any doubt unless till this point, you don't have a doubt about your existence. Because you say, I know it. I say, okay, you know it, you have a knowledge about it. I, the self. Which means of knowledge? Any knowledge is gained by means of knowledge. What are the means of knowledge you have used? Inference, beliefs. It's not a means of knowledge, but belief, perception. Which, in fact, Descartes never had that issue. I think, therefore I exist. I think. So that means with the thought, you are I. And when the thought goes away, I also. Is it true? You are very much there when the thought is gone. You are very much there to pick up a new thought. And God, He has also improved. He has said, I exist, therefore I think. You don't require even a mind, means of knowledge, to prove, to know the existence of I. In fact, because you exist, therefore you think. You exist, therefore you see. You exist, therefore you hear. You exist, therefore you smell. You exist, therefore you believe. You exist, therefore you speculate. That you exist, therefore you infer. Before any means of knowledge available to the human being which are there to know the world, no means of knowledge is necessary to know I or to prove the existence of I. Not necessary at all. Not required at all. So how do you know I exist? I need not know I exist. That's it. I exist and I can arrive at the existence of everything else. If I itself, the existence of I itself is to be proven, you cannot establish the existence of any other thing. Right? If existence of I itself is not proven yet, how will you establish the existence of everything else? Where flask is, because I see it, means I should exist. If existence of I itself, family, what is that? This is the secret of freedom from death. I will come to that. So basically, if existence of anything is to be proven, it presupposes existence of yourself. If that itself is not proven, like suppose existence of I is to be established. Who will establish? Tell me. You have to bring another I, which establishes the existence of this I. Then how will you know that the second I exists? How will you know? You have to establish existence of second I now. And so that process goes on then I cannot understand the existence of anything else. Could you follow what I'm saying? When you have an experience, right? When you have experience by which you establish the existence of given thing, and two things are there. The object should be there and I should be there. And I'm establishing the existence of the object by knowledge. At least I should be there or not. If I itself is not proven, how will you establish the existence of world? Anyway, so the existence of I basically need not be proven. That's called self-existence. I exist because I exist. I exist. World exists. This exists because I know it. Therefore it is. I exist because I know it. Self-existent, self-evident. Could you follow what I'm saying? This is not self-existent. I established existence by knowing. This is not self-evident. It is evident to the I. Self is evident to self. Existence of self is self-proven. No one proves the existence of I. Nobody has to prove my existence. Everybody's existence, everything's existence is proven by I. No means of knowledge is necessary to prove existence. In Vedanta we use this word svatasiddha. You must be knowing this word. Svatasiddha. Swatah means self. Siddha, existent. Swayam prakasha. You must have heard this word. Self-evident. If I know myself, by myself only, then I must be of the nature of knowledge. So I is already established, accomplished without any means of knowledge. It is self-existent, self-evident. What is self-existent and self-evident? What is self-existent must be self-evident. What is self-evident must be self-existent. This is evident to me. Right? It's not self-evident. It is evident to me. Therefore, it is not self-existent also. Its existence also is established by me. Anyway, so I is self-existent, self-evident. Everything is evident to the I. If you are self-existent, means your nature is of existence. And if you are existent, how will you become non-existent? Death. Death means what? Non-existence. Could you follow? This is the way you will prove. No, don't worry. We have to take into account something dies. There is no death. I can just raise my hand and go, no. There is something called death. But death of what? That is the thing. That we'll see. So self alone is self-existent. Perhaps that's the reason why we call I the self as a self in English. That I is the self because the self is self-evident, self-existent, and I happen to be self-evident and self-existent. Therefore, I is called self in English. Everything else is known through the means of knowledge, known to I. Even Vedanta does not prove the existence of self, by the way. Vedanta doesn't prove the existence of self. Vedanta only proves the reality of the self. Yeah. Because people will say, Swamiji, if the self exists is proven by the Vedanta, therefore that is also means of knowledge. Yeah, people are here ready, I know. You say, I prove my existence. No, Vedanta proves you exist. No, Vedanta does not prove your existence. Vedanta proves what nature you have, which is already existent. Or the reality, that's the reality, that's its nature. That is proven. So self-I is basically reality. Now there must be plus one in order to have two, in order to get fear. If there are two, that would be, well, definitely, then I would be isolated from the other I. I is self-existent, that is fine. But Swamiji, still the fear, our problem is not yet solved. Because I also is there, you also say I, you also say I will reject you, I will isolate you. There are many I's here. And all are equal in reality. So even you have proved I is self-existent, self-evident, then I can also say, Swami, I is self-existent, self-evident. She can say, he can say, everyone will say. So all are of equal reality. I will reject you. Problem of fear is not gone. Correct. Very good. Very true. Very true. So are there many I's or not? That's it. We have to now prove really there are many I's. If there are really many I's, one will reject other. One will isolate other I. I will isolate you. Another I. Anyway, so we'll have to check this thing in a next session. Are there many I's? First. And if I prove that there are not many I's, yet the world is not just sentient beings, the world is all inert objects also. Equal reality. You may not threaten me because there is only one I, but there are objects, this can threaten me, which doesn't have a sense of I. What about that? So are the objects which are of the same order of reality as the I? That also should be proven. And if I find that there is nothing other than I, only I in this world, everything what you experience as I and the objects and all these things are of the lower order of reality, not equal to this I which we are going to see, well, then there is no reason. Because there is no duality, then there is no reason to be fearful. Right? That's the thing. So we will see after 15-20 minutes.
15.
Okay.
Maybe we'll answer, I guess, in the second half of the second
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
We'll answer the questions.
Yes.
We will also have the Guru Dakshina and the Prasadam. So Guru Dakshina envelopes are over there if you want to write it down or cash. You can also pay through credit card. We have the facility there. Or you can do it on that. Besides that, in the break today we brought some tea, coffee and snacks. So we can go into that room